All right, hello everyone, it's silverkyle, and first of all, Happy New Year to everybody. As we start 2024, I hope everybody has a fantastic year, and we are starting off with a bang in a haul video for December of 2023, my last pickups of the year. Let's look at what I got in the month of December. There's quite a bit here because this does include stuff that I bought on Black Friday that finally came in December, my regular December pickups, and probably a little bit more, and Christmas. So a lot of stuff here. Let's dive into the Omnibus because it's the heaviest stuff to just get it off the table. And I've also done overviews for this already. So this is the Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 3. Always excited to get some Spider-Man stuff. I would probably prefer that we get some gaps in Amazing Spider-Man first, but at least they are going in chronological order. This is a new, this has not been released yet before in Omnibus format, so very happy to have that. And it's getting a lot of love, the Ultimate line. It looks like I don't think Volume 4 has been solicited yet, but I'm a little bit behind in terms of what is being solicited for 2024, more so in the last half of the year. And there's some stuff for 2025 already. It's wild how ahead of the schedule we are for what we know is coming out from Marvel. It's insane. But we're still getting every once in a while something from like the summer and fall of this year. It's really wild how they keep just adding more and more. Hopefully a lot more Spider-Man. Speaking of, and I don't know which one I'm more excited for, because I think Ultimate Spider-Man 3 will technically be better stories, I think, but this is nostalgia for me. They got the reprint here of Ben Reilly's Volume 1, and when I look at this, it's just wave of happiness of being a kid or a teenager, and I mean, the artwork alone, second to none. The 90s for me, for the most part, I mean, some of the stuff is a little bit too crazy, but even the crazy stuff I feel is a guilty pleasure for me. I love this artwork. What is your favorite artwork? Because I'm genuinely curious. For me, it's all the 90s. There's nothing after or before really that beats it. I mean, there's late 80s, early 2000s is still very good because it's similar to the 90s stuff, but yeah, great stuff. Another one here, Hawkeye by Fraction. Only heard good things about this. This is generally in, I feel like the top 20 maybe omnibus of all time, generally. So really looking forward to reading that. And a very thin omnibus as well. More like an oversized hardcover, but that's not what an oversized, that's not what an omnibus is. It doesn't have to be massive. It's just basically the complete story. And that's what we get from this. Let's dive into some video games real quick, because there's two video games that I got for Christmas. That would be Super Mario RPG. I loved the original, was so extremely happy that they decided to do a full remake of this. Like this isn't just like a port of the SNES version, although I wouldn't have minded that either because I do really like the SNES look. But either way, we've got Super Mario RPG, and because they put so much love into this, I feel like maybe if this does well, we might end up getting some sequels. Could you imagine that? Instead of like the Ubisoft games, we could get some actual Super Mario RPG from Square. Oh, that would be exciting. Is this from Square? I don't see the Square logo. Is it Nintendo that did this? I honestly don't know who made this. Either way, Square must have said, yeah, go ahead and do that. And something from Square, I know from Square, and it's loose, and that makes me very nervous. I should just rip this open. But anyway, this is Star Ocean, the Second Story R, which is the remake of the original that was on like the PlayStation 1 and I think on the PSP as well. So happy that they did this. I wish that they would go back and kind of get a physical version of the first one that they did, because they did the first story. First Story R. I have the digital copy, but I would love to have a physical version of this. All right, so that's it for video games. Those two were both Christmas gifts. And speaking of more Christmas gifts, we've got The Wheel of Time, Book 2, The Great Hunt. And this is in the big paperback form, trade paperback maybe. I'm not really sure what this would be, but to me it's like an oversized copy of a book. It's not like a regular paperback, like a mass market paperback. And for me, this is the best version to read the books in. The font is beautiful because it's big. I know it doesn't seem like it's that big, but it is you have to remember that it's like, this is my hand, and I'm 6'2", so good size there. I mean, I guess we can just take a video game on you, and then you'll get the idea of how big everything is here. Just move it back. There you go. So very happy to have that, as I will be finally finishing The Wheel of Time. Probably not this year because it's 15 books, but I read the first 8 books when I was 14 until about 20 or something like that. And then I got sidetracked, never went back. I tried to going back to the series, read the first 4 again. That was 6-7 years ago maybe. And so now I'm wanting to start again and read through the whole thing, probably into next year. I do think that it'll take me that long because I don't want to be just reading Wheel of Time. I want to kind of read, the goal is to read it 1 a month. I don't think it'll last like that, but if I can read at least 8, then I can read 7 the following year. And we also have The Dragon Reborn as well. The only negative thing is that for a lot of the times, I do not care for the artwork. Not that it really matters because it's a book, but I much prefer the paperback versions that I have of this, or the actual hardcovers that they have when they first came out. I love that artwork. This one's not too bad, though. The Great Hunt that's still pretty cool. And the horn over there. Another series that I will be starting this year, because the first sequel, as in book 2, is coming out in March. I think it was supposed to be originally February. I think it was, but then it got pushed back to March. Either way, it's coming out in March at this point in time. And that is Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. I have only heard good things, specifically Mike from Mike's Book Reviews on BookTube. He talks about this all the time, so I feel like I have to read this. And extremely thick. Just to give you an idea, like The Wheel of Time is probably like 600 pages or something. And like, it's massive. I think it's more so that this is a hardcover and the paper is a lot thicker in the two of them. This is probably a lot thinner in the paperback, because I think this is like 750 pages as well. So it's just, yeah, I don't think it's even 750 pages. Big book though. I mean, 700 pages is still quite a bit. Okay. The next one is a Christmas present to myself. It had to be, because this is by far the most I have ever spent on any book in my entire life. Nothing even comes close to this. And I'll explain why. Because lately I really want the hardcovers, the original hardcovers for Stephen King's work. I feel like I have to, and the reason why this is so expensive, so this is the Bachman book. So this is when he went under the alias of Richard Bachman. He wrote a few stories under that, and there's more short stories. I don't know if necessarily they're novellas. I'm not really sure, but I know that they're not very long. And so we've got 4 books here: Rage, The Long Walk, Roadwork, and The Running Man. Now, the reason why this is so expensive is because Rage is technically a story about a school shooting before they became a thing that happens all the time in America. So Stephen King has decided to no longer publish that, so you can't buy a new copy because they don't exist anymore. And that's why it's so expensive, because if you want a physical copy of Rage, you're going to pay quite a bit. And I've always wanted the hardcover of all 4 of these together. So that's why this is by far the most expensive. And I mean, yellow pages, but and the cover isn't necessarily the nicest, but it's still what I want from it. And I ordered some plastic covers for hardcovers, not just for this, but just for everything that I have. So really looking forward to wrapping this up and trying to keep it even more safe. My last book that I picked up for the month was because I wanted to read arguably the most popular fantasy novel that I've heard of for 2023 that everybody seems to be talking about, and that is The Will of the Many. I picked it up this month and I read it. I just finished it yesterday. December 31st. So the last day of the year, I finally finished this. It took me about a week to read. I was reading other stuff and there was things going on. Because I feel like if I wasn't so busy, I probably would have read this even faster. This book is absolutely incredible. If you like fantasy academia type books, think of an adult Harry Potter set in a fantasy world instead of modern times. with so much more. And I'm not saying that as a knock to Harry Potter. I absolutely love Harry Potter. Some of my favorite books of all time are in the Harry Potter series, like books 3, 4, 5, and 6. Excellent. Absolutely excellent. But The Will of the Many, it's going to be interesting to go back to Harry Potter after this and see where Harry Potter ranks. Because it's been a few years since I've read Harry Potter. I'm loving this. I cannot wait for book 2. I will be doing a review of this, and stay tuned for my top 10 favorite books that I read in 2023. This is a 2023 novel, but what I'm going to include in that, because I only read 22 books last year, which is so weird to say yesterday for me right now. I only read 22 books in the year, but I read 6 in December. I don't know. So it's not just going to be the 2023 novels that I'm going to be going over. It's going to be top 10 reads of the year. Now we've got a bunch of Blu-rays, and some of these I've already shown. I can't remember necessarily if I've shown this already because there's just a ton of them here. Mission Impossible, absolutely fantastic. Not as good as Fallout, but so freaking good, and it looks amazing on Blu-ray. Rewatched The Missing as well. This is just on Blu-ray because they don't have for whatever reason, they don't have a 4K of this. Not as good as Searching, but still definitely good if you like that kind of movie, or where it is all done through like webcams or their searches on their computers or their phone. Nothing is filmed with an actual camera. I mean, it might be, but it's made to all look as if you're looking through a security camera, a webcam, your phone's camera, that kind of thing. Really, really good. Good, mystery, essentially, and thriller. The Flash, haven't rewatched this yet. I am looking forward to rewatching it again because I think there's a lot of positives and negatives to this. There are some positives, definitely. There's a lot of negatives, but Keaton back as Batman is worth the price of admission alone. Air Force One, didn't get a chance to watch that one yet. We've got The Shining as well, another great movie. And then we've got Oppenheimer. Just recently watched this. Oh, so good. So good. And I've only seen it once, and I'm upset that I just saw it now because I feel like Nolan sometimes makes movies where I give it a specific rating and I'm like, that was really good. And then I watch the movie again and it jumps up. That happened with Dark Knight Rises and Interstellar. Both those movies, when I saw them the first time, I was like, that was really good. And I gave them like a 7 or an 8. Rewatched them again, and I think they're both sitting at 10s right now. And there's only like 10 movies I've given a 10 out of 10. Nolan, I'm a massive Nolan fan. The way that he makes movies is exactly what I want. Music is extremely important to him. The story, the twists, the characters, the actors that he chooses. I mean, Cillian Murphy, finally a lead actor in one of his movies, because it seems as though Nolan has always loved him, as he should, because he's a phenomenal actor. And yeah, I have to talk more about that at another point, but great movie. Watched the first hour of this and I was like, it's John Wick. I need to buy it in 4K. I was watching it on Crave and I was like, no, I need to see this in 4K and I want to buy the movie because it's so good. And I'm loving it. It's exactly what I wanted from that. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, just picked this up, just watched this. I was worried that this wouldn't be as good. And there are so few good MCU movies since Endgame. It's like this and Spider-Man for me. That's it. You watch those two, you're caught up. Loki 2, the TV show. It's probably worth watching. I don't know why it came in this, but I'm very happy that it got this extra little bit. Dungeons and Dragons. Loved this movie. Definitely want to do a rewatch very soon. Just crazy amounts of fun. And Hugh Grant, 2023 was a phenomenal year for him. Like his comeback year. Dungeons and Dragons, Operation, which really had no business being as good as it was. We've got the Rotten Tomatoes score there. That's awesome. Operation Fortune had no business being as good as it was. And Wonka, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And my favorite parts are him being an Oompa Loompa, of all things. Dracula in 4K. I would say this is more of a guilty pleasure for me. I love the vibe that you get in this, like the setting that they have, the look of this world. It's so good, so dark, so gothic. The movie itself, like the story or the movie itself, isn't the greatest necessarily, and the creatures that Dracula turns into looks freaking awesome. They're scary as hell. I wish they would have done a little bit more with that, because Dracula turns into some crazy beasts within that. Good stuff. Banking off of that, for the last pickup that I have, it's extremely guilty pleasure. So this is like, I don't know, I feel like I gave this a 6 out of 10, but it's still enjoyable. In the same vein, dealing with vampires too, I saw this for cheap on Boxing Day, I think it was. I think most of these, so this was Black Friday and Boxing Day pickups. And this was like maybe $20. It's 5 movies. I've seen the first one for sure, and I thought it was okay. And I think I've seen the second one, also thought it was okay. And that's the Underworld movies. I rarely ever pick up like a collection like this, because I like buying things individually, but like, do the other movies like Underworld? Okay, so I've seen Underworld, and apparently they have extended cut here too. I don't think I've seen that. Evolution, I think I've seen. Then Rise of the Lycans, Awakening, and Blood Wars, I have not seen. I'm assuming that they're not necessarily the greatest, but I'm going to give them a watch. I like Kate Beckinsale. That's essentially what it comes down to. It's a guilty pleasure. Anyway, that is everything that I picked up in the month of December. Great haul to finish up the year there. Looking forward to getting down to reading some of these pickups that I have, watching some of the other movies, and playing some of the video games too. I won't be doing this all within the next little while. Probably I'll be able to watch all the movies. My favorite pickup would probably be the Stephen King, but at the same time, this is incredible. If you like fantasy novels and academia novels, I strongly urge you to pick this up and read it. The font is extremely small. It's insane how small it is. But it's so good. And if you don't read books, listen to an audio of this. I wouldn't be surprised if they turn this into a movie, depending on how books 2 and 3 go. I could totally see that being a movie. When I'm reading it, I think I do this with every book that I read, but I imagine what it would look like in my mind as a movie. And there's scenes in here that would work so well in a movie. Incredibly well. Fantastic. So thank you all for watching. You have been bearded in. Beardage.